To get started here, we're going to be talking about the system integrity reports. And this screen really is, I think, one of the least utilized tools that we have. When I discovered it, I fell in love with it. It's a little bit complex in the way that it's set up, but once you see how all of this works, it's not going to be that difficult to navigate and use. So the system integrity report screens, the whole purpose of this is to allow you to add and make these reports a part of your standard operating procedure, either running them daily or weekly or not at all, depending on what you actually need out of here. There's 44 different reports, and they're split up over the customer, service location, and meter reports. Now, this is to help keep your data clean. It's to help make sure that your customers are set up correctly, that you don't have service locations that have customers that aren't getting billed, or it's to help make sure that everything in the system is running smoothly. So part of this, and just to kind of go over the way the screen is set up, and hopefully we'll be able to pass this document around here. I just created this for this purpose. Here's our screen, and what we're looking for is this field here, the code field. This is just a number. All it does is lets us know that anything in the 1,000 range is going to be our customer reports, but you can use this to put into your standard operating procedure, your manual on how to do your daily processes or weekly processes, run reports 1001, 1008, 2005, anything like that. So that's just a reference to the report itself and making it easier for you to document what needs to be done and what needs to be ran at what time. We look over here on our daily and weekly. Now, when you check a report, so the customer is active with no location, it's not going to process it until you actually process your daily if it's checked under daily, and it won't process it if you have it set under weekly. Now, in order to make those processes daily or weekly, we have the process test down here, daily and weekly, and hopefully you'll see when we actually get into the program and start printing some reports how that works, and it'll make a little bit more sense than all of this on the screen right now. But once you go through here and you decide which reports that you would like to print, some reports you'll probably want to print daily. I didn't see too many of them that I would think would be required, but this would be up to your individual business and how you use our software. Some of these won't apply to your business at all. But if you have reports that you'd like to have run daily, at the end of the day, beginning of the day, whatever you'd like to do, or if you would like some of these reports to be ran weekly, those can be set in the process as well. This little sheet here, we'll make sure it gets out to everybody. It just kind of goes through on how to actually process these reports and set everything up. All right. So back over here on our report screen, if we look at the reports that we have, and we're going to choose to print a few of these out, there's no way that we could possibly cover all these reports. So if we look at the customer reports, you're going to notice that some of them are very similar to each other, and some of the reports overlap between the customer and location and from the meter to the location. So we're going to see some duplicates in here that you may not want to use or may not need. So we have the customer without a location. So if your company requires you or your business requires you to have a location associated with every single customer, this report would return any locations that don't have a customer. Customer is active with no location, very similar to this report, is inactive without a location. So all three of these are pretty much the same, it's just with different criteria set. Customer without a deposit. If you take deposits and every customer needs to have a deposit, this will help you shore up any customers that you have that don't have deposits. Now, what you see on the screen is what you get. So with the customer without a deposit, you're not going to be able to designate whether that customer is active or inactive. It's going to search the whole system for every customer that does not have a deposit. And I'll show you how to take these reports later and export them to Excel so that you can sort through them a little bit better. Customer with an invalid account number. If I choose this one here, we're going to look to see. I'm not certain if we're going to find any customers with an invalid account number, but we're going to see here. So let me check and see what other reports that we have here. Uncheck those. So let's look at this one first. This one should be a pretty quick one. Customer with an invalid account number. I have that checked, and if I go through my list, I don't see any others checked right now. So in order to process these reports, you can choose daily. That means that only this column is going to be processed at this time. Once you have selected your reports and chosen daily, you'll have to process the reports here. So changes have been made to the current record. Do you want to save these? Yes. All right, so the process is complete. They've been processed. That's just getting everything ready to run to print your reports. Once you've done that, then you can use the print tool here, and that will bring up our report here. So in this situation, you're not going to see any customers with an invalid account number. That's probably just a one-time and you're done. You probably don't want to have this on a monthly or weekly, a daily or a weekly process. Some of these reports are good to, I would probably say at least run them one time unless you don't need them. So with this report, if you find customers with invalid account numbers, you may not be able to pull them up in the system. If that's the case, you can just make a list of them or save the report and let us know, and we can help you get those corrected. So we're going to take that off there. Customers active without any transactions in 30 days. So some of these reports will be more useful than others, and these are all pretty much the same, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. If they're set to active, you would think that there should be some transactions on that account in the time frame that at least that you bill. So these will help you determine which accounts are just being missed by all the normal processes that you do. Customer without a rate code, again, that's any customer, active, inactive, it doesn't matter. It's just looking for any customer that's not associated with a rate code. This is interesting because the customer doesn't directly link to the rate code. The customer has to have a service location attached, and the group and income centers turned on, and then a rate code attached as well for them to have a rate code. So this is going to pick up any customer that doesn't have a service location, or it may have a service location and may not have a group and income center set up, or may have all of that set up and no rate code. So again, what you see here is what you get. And as we go down through, customer is active without a rate code. So a little bit more detail there. Active without a deposit. I don't know why this one is so low in the list. It should probably be up here with the deposit, without a deposit here. But that will help find any customer, of course, that's active and you're expecting them to have a deposit on their account. And so on and so forth. We can go through here and read all of these. You can go through and see which ones you need. I like the ones that say customers active with a location with no bill in this number of days, or no bill with, if it's without a location and no bill, I wouldn't expect that one to be a very useful report. But this you're going to have to take some time to go through and look at these reports and see which ones you want to use and which ones you don't. They usually run pretty quick unless they're pulling back a lot of information. So you could do these in groups the first time that you run them, just to see what they pull back. So let's do a couple of them here. If this gets going to, it takes too long to run, then we may stop it in the middle, but I'm going to process that. So anytime you make a selection here, you're going to have to process this again. If you've already run, and the idea of this is that when you make a check here, and it becomes part of your daily procedure, this is saved in the system. So anytime that you pull it up, these reports are going to be selected every single time. You don't have to go back and select them again. So all you'll have to do is come in here and choose whether you're doing your daily reports or your weekly reports or both, and hit process to refresh all the information in that in all the reports that we're using here. So I've already processed these. Just hit it again to pull in more information. Process is complete, and I'm going to print those to the screen here. All right. You see down here we have our little counter. It's quite a big report. So when these reports print and when you process them, they are going to process all of them and print them all to one report printer screen. So you can see that this is one continuous report, but we did select like 5 different reports. So customers active with no location, you'll see the title of your report right here. That's the one that you selected, and we have basic information, account number, and name, and that's all we have on these reports. Is there's no real selection criteria. It's just what you see is what you get. So customers inactive without a location, customers inactive without a location, and we're still on that one. As we scroll through these reports, let's go down about, going to have a bunch of these. Okay, so here's customers without a deposit. Now this demo database that I'm using may not have deposits at all, so probably all of their customers are going to come back. But you can see that it's just going to give you the number, the customer account number, and the name. Customer without a deposit, we're still on that one. As we come down further, we still are there. So this company probably doesn't do deposits here. And again, you know, if you don't use these, then you don't need to worry about these reports printing them. So I probably missed some reports up here in the middle. Customer without a deposit goes all the way up. It's a good amount of information here. Without a location. But as you can see, all these reports print on one page, and they'll return all the information you need. So it would be a good idea to run these reports at least one time to see what information you're going to get. Let's get down here to the location report. So we have a location without a customer, location with inactive customer, location without an active customer, location with active customer without a meter. So again, read through these reports, see which ones you might want to use. There may be some that you just know that you're not ever going to use. You have a location with a without a rate code, and again, that's all locations without a rate code. So whether they're active, inactive, whether they have a customer attached or not. So then we get down here, no pump station if you have pump stations. I mean, there's a good information on each of these reports. So again, look through these to see if there's anything you need. Meter is at a location that hasn't been read in 30 days. Some of these are more important than others. So these are some good reports here. Now there are 44 different reports, and as you can see, 22 of them are customer reports, 14 are location reports, 8 are meter reports. And if you have any suggestions for anything that you would like added to the list, we can take those and get that put in with our development as an enhancement request to add more reports. So this may look like, let's kind of just set this up in a way that it may look for your daily operation here. And maybe for weekly, we want to find, you know, maybe you want all your customers without a deposit. Let's go with the active one. All of your active customers without a deposit. You'll probably want to do that every day to find out if you've created new accounts and people have come in. If you're a larger company and you're adding new services, you know, 50 or 60 a day, then you probably want to run that one daily. Let's see, active with no bill in 45 days. You probably don't want to run any of these daily, so we can set one of these up for, a weekly run. Customer without any transactions within 120 days. Of course, it's 120 days, so maybe you want to see that in a weekly. Customer is active at a location with no bill in 120 days. That looks like it would be an important one. But of course, we're talking about billing, so it would be a longer period of time, so we'd have that on weekly. Location with duplicate addresses. This is probably one that you would want to run one time and then make corrections in the system. You really shouldn't have duplicate service addresses in the system. It's not really set up to work with that. So running some of these will be, you may find that you have some projects ahead of you that you have to get done to clean up your data a bit. So if we find some more here, like location hasn't been read in 30 days, we'll do a weekly report on that one. Maybe that may be a daily report. You may want to have a running total of these just to see if you have multiple billing cycles that you read at different times. Or you may want to run them both. Really, if you run them daily, you may want to run it weekly when you do your weekly reports as well. So, I mean, you can have them both selected. It's not going to hurt anything to have duplicates on there. And let's see, meter is at a location has been read in 120 days. Meter reading greater than the rollover digits. That's an interesting one to look at. If everything is set up in your system, you should never see a meter that has a reading that's higher than the rollover digits. So that's one of those that could turn into a project for you. If you run this report and you return a bunch of results, you may need to get that cleaned up in the system. So I apologize for showing you this and adding to your workload, but it is good information to have. So this is something that that you may see here. It may look like this when you come in here, and you would never come in and change these check boxes, and you would just have your list of reports or things that you have to do daily. Every day you have to transfer to your GL. You have to close your open transactions, and this would just be one more thing to say, okay, run your system integrity reports. To find those, we'll go to utility billing here, periodic, and down toward the bottom of the list, system integrity, and that will bring up the screen here. Now, if it's a daily report that you need to run, we'll select daily here, make sure there's a check, hit process, save. It's going to process these and pull back the information. Once that's done, it'll say process is complete, and then you'll print your reports. If it's your weekly reports, you would, maybe you run them on Thursdays, maybe you run them on Fridays. If it's the day that you need to run your weekly reports, you will check your weekly, process. When you process them, it's going to use whatever reports are here that are checked. It's going to be completed, and then you would print your reports there as well. I'm going to go ahead and print those out there. So customers active with a location no bill in 45 days. This is older data, so it's probably going to be a lot of information here. You see we have 1,447 pages down here. Meter is at a location that hasn't been read in 30 days. So all of these reports will come up like this. If you need to sort through this information or make it easier, you can export the report to a .csv file here. That will allow you to open in Excel. Using the Excel export sometimes messes the reports up in Excel. There are a lot of fields on that are combined and merged and you just should never get really good data. The CSV does a pretty good job of separating them out for Excel. So if we look at here, we don't want to change any of the information here. Just go ahead and click OK. You'll save the report, and once it saves, do you want to open the file? I always open the file and look at it. And here's our report here. So we have all our information here that we can sort through and pick through and make notations on as we go. So that works on pretty much any report that you print out of Impresa. So that .csv, I like to give it a little bit extra every time I do one of these, so that helps out. So once you have this, you can manipulate it in any way you like. Get rid of the header information here. Like I said, put notes next to each of these. Use them to print them out to do whatever you need to do in the system to correct your data. All right. So, of course, I was just taking these here, and I'm probably going to turn this into a little table for you so you can see the reports broken out. So you can print this out and use it and just check off the ones that you want to use. And then that way you'll be able to add that to your SOP. But I'm going to clean this up a little bit as we go to provide us information for y'all. All right. And really, this is a pretty simple screen here. And I know I went a little bit fast, and we are actually a little bit early here, but if there are any questions or anything, I can take questions. There's really not much more to look at on this screen here. So if there's any questions or anything, I'm okay with taking those now. Of course, I can't see all of the information here. Kayla, are you available? Okay, so I have a question here. We're not able to locate the system integrity screen. How do we get there? With that, again, utility billing, periodic, and then system integrity. Now, your security level may keep this off the menu for you. You may not have access to it. So if that's the case, then, okay, you found it there. If that's the case, then you'll have to get with whoever has admin access and see if you can get access to the system integrity reports. While we're on the subject of kind of cleaning up the data a little bit, we have a process in place. This kind of takes us outside of our system integrity reports. But we do have a process in place. I'm just going to go to a service location to bring this up. To clean up your street addresses and your cities and states. So with that, we may find that you have, street names here that are duplicates. So Baldwin Street, Baldwin Street, Baldwin Street, all of this. If these are used anywhere in the system, you're not able to delete these out of the system. So we have a process to go through and find where they're all used, make corrections, put the correct street name where they're, associate that with all the customer service locations, vendors, anywhere that is used in the system, and then allow you to come back in here and delete these out of the system. If they're ever used, they can't be deleted out. So if you have a bunch of bad streets in here that are duplicates that you just want to get rid of, we do have a process to do that. That is something that we quote for, and it is a little bit involved on your end as far as hunting down and changing to the correct information that you need to use in the service location and different things. The same thing for our city, states, and zips. So right now for this company, we only have one, Texas, so that makes it easier for them. But if you have a list of city, states, and zips in here that you need to get cleaned up, you have duplicates or you have bad zip codes in there, the same process works for that. So we could quote it all together at one time and get it all taken care of. I just want to throw that out there and offer that. And is there any more questions or anything? If you could text those, that would be the easiest way for me to see them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I haven't gotten any chat questions yet, so we'll wait a couple of minutes so you guys can let me know if you guys have any additional questions to what Christopher has already informed us with. And then if you guys don't have questions, you guys can feel free to go ahead and head out of the the webinar, that's a good way for us to kind of see if you guys have more information or if you guys are satiated with information that Christopher's provided.
And if you have questions about specific reports in here that you're seeing, you can just let me know, and either now or after the webinar, and just shoot us an email and we can get those answered as well.
Okie doke. Well, if you guys do get any questions, feel free to email me and I will pass them along to Chris and I'll force him to give you a good answer. Again, we just super appreciate you guys and we look forward to doing these. If you guys have requests for particular webinar subjects, again, you can email me that information as well, and we would love to get that started. We really just want to bring up topics that you guys want to learn more about, or you would like to see kind of the process of getting it done. That way, you can use that as an additional resource whenever a problem does come up.